Okay, so this particular example, I'm just going to give an idea about how I can make use of protocol classes, so protocols. So I'm not going to use a conventional word like abstract and other stuff. So it's a protocol as far as Objective-C and Swift. So what's the user protocol? Probably we'll see put a timer, we'll make a delay, but the delay, once the delay is completed, it's going to give me a callback. That's all. So how I can put into use, maybe we can get a broader idea when we use the web service, but still this particular area we have to understand. Let me create a simple project. Okay, so this particular example, we are going to mainly concentrate on the protocols. So I'm not going to worry about anything. Maybe a simple navigation like buttons. Something like that we'll put it. And I'm going to need a label. Bring it to center. Let's add the constraints. Constraints are being in place. I'm not going to wrap it inside the navigation control. It's a single view just for testing purpose. Okay, a protocol could be, defined, not necessary to be a separate classes. The protocol could be a part of your class itself as a subclass, or could be anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a Objective-C file class. Okay, I'll just create a my delay process, some sort of thing. So this particular thing I'm going to make it as it's going to inherit from a NS object. NS object is the very base, intrinsic object of your Objective-C and Swift. Everything is inheriting from NS object as far as Coca Touch concerned. So the Coca Touch mean it has the reference of all the UI element and how you can handle the navigation. So everything is inherited from a NS object. So that's an idea. Let me try. So this particular class having a header and implementation file. It's just a class. I'm not going to associate with any sort of what you call view controller or navigation controller or table view controller, nothing. So here I may go ahead and add a protocol. So maybe protocol has to be added in this way. Usually protocols are called my delegates. So okay, I'll just maximize it. Okay, inside my class, this particular class, I am adding a protocol class. Protocol, nothing but abstract class. That's what our idea. So the syntax is like that. Define inside this my delay class. Make sure it's slightly outside. You define a protocol. That protocol name is my delegate. Delegates usually a protocol as far as Objective C concerned. Wherever you see a word delegate, those are mostly your protocol classes. So that's the reason I gave the name as something my delegate or what. So once you make a protocol, it will have a start and end body. So at the rate protocol and end here, all your abstract classes going to find abstract methods are going to find place. Say you can have a method. Um, some name, sorry, it should not be an active body. So maybe I'll have an argument. Sorry, again I am going into a Java convention. See this. So a function, a method without an active body have been defined over here. So it's perfectly an abstract class in our other understanding of other programming language. An abstract class usually contain methods without an incomplete or without an active body. So the mostly an incomplete body is going to be there. Of course, it looks like it is having that. Now we have to use it if required. This interface inside, we usually define the properties. So that's a usual conventions. So non-atomic retain. And my delegate, I really don't know whether it's a string type or what kind of object type. We usually, if I create a NS array, I know that particular object what I'm going to create is a type of array. But I'm trying to initialize this particular delegate. But this delegate, what kind of type it is, I'm not sure. Whether it's a string type or whatever. Though it inherits from NS object, but I really don't know what kind of object it is. If you have, in this scenario, for example, you don't know what kind of object you are trying to initialize. That kind of object, you can term it as ID. ID means generic object. You can assign it to any object when you are unsure about what kind of object, what kind of property it is. So that ID is of type my delegate, I'm telling, because I am really not sure about what kind of object the my delegate it is or what kind of property it is. So let me just initialize. So define a property. Sorry, since I don't know, naturally I should not point it to a pointer. Because the object type will be automatically identified because I really don't know what kind of object it is. So that's the reason I gave an ID. For example, this kind of scenario you will easily identify. For example, I'll give a easiest way of doing it. For example, you have an NS dictionary. The NS dictionary contains key value pairs. So name, okay, and roll number, say some number, and okay, we'll make another object inside. And This is a slightly complex NS dictionary what you have created. It means it has the very first object returning a string type, the second object returning another NS dictionary. So iteration of this NS dictionary, one point of time you may not be knowing first time which value is coming. First time string comes, second value another NS dictionary is coming. I really don't know how to process it. So in such a case, what you'll do, you'll put a for loop. There is a for loop suggestion is there. Oh, okay, let me try that. You're going to for will do in a string. Yeah, will do. So in this case, I'm going to iterate I can iterate this particular dictionary and identify what all the keys exist in this dictionary using this for. Just use the placeholder NS string, retrieve all the keys and retrieve all the values. So if I run this code, I had to add the delegate stuff. So I'm just using the view control. I can safely use it. So in this case, in the view did load, I'm just having a NS dictionary. I'm trying to iterate all the keys. In this case, the keys are name and the subject. The top level keys, not the inner level keys. So let me see how it is coming. I didn't even initialize, seems to be. Okay. If you see that the log is printing name and subject. So it is iterating inside the NS dictionary, identifying its key. Now retrieve the values. Now I have a problem. First thing, if I try to retrieve it from the keys whatever I have, I'm not sure always I will get an NS string. I will get the very first item NS string, yes I will get, but the problem is the second one is not the string. The second one is another NS dictionary. I really don't have an idea if I try to retrieve it, but log will work, but I really don't know whether first iteration is going to give me a string, the second iteration is going to give me an NS dictionary. How do I differentiate them? If you are unsure about it, what you can do, you can make it a generic object. I really don't know what kind of object it is. Then you can define string kind of class NS string class. So why this guy is giving me so the first iteration I'm just capturing into a generic pointer, and if it is a string, print. is printed. Yes, if value is kind of class ns dictionary and add one more for loop to iterate them. So you can add one more for loop. Say subject key then you can get back the rest of the percentage sub percentage so in this case you are differentiating the NS dictionary. One of an object is a string, another object is a NS dictionary itself, and then that NS dictionary is iterated to identify that particular object. So in each case you would have to differentiate what kind of object you are retrieving. If at one point of time you may not be sure about what kind of object it is coming. In that case, instead of directly assigning the property name ns string or ns dictionary, you can generic id you can give. So generic object name, generic pointer. So after that you define it, okay, whether it is a string, then iterate it directly. Whether if it is not a string, and iterate it in such a way. This one I have to do slightly object for a key. Because I need to go inside to that object to retrieve them. So that particular value object for a key is going to be subject. That subject is going to give me another NS dictionary. That NS dictionary, what you call keys I'm capturing and iterating them over. So if I retrieve and run this particular example, some sort of issues are coming, breaking. Let us identify. See, when you end up certain scenario where your code does not respond, you would get a substantial information here itself. Terminating app name has come. Okay, I think something going wrong. Here it is. Better I would have done okay, this would have been appropriate. Okay, in this dictionary I am going to retrieve because I am sure about that which one is going to come as a dictionary. Then get the dictionary and iterate it over, you will get the values. So this would have been perfect. Let me run it. breaking. I'm missing this one key. It is sub key. Okay. Check for a key. Again, there is complaining the same place. Next dictionary. That's fine. Sub 1, sub 2. It looks like for me it's kind of class in this dictionary. It has printed the name. I think it is complaining at this point. So value is in a string, capture that in a string name. Check for key. That's what we did. Try to typecast it. That works. Just I'm trying to help it. I'm typecasting it, so should not break at this point. Let's see the document. I think it is something wrong over here. Because value is directly will be coming. Searching an object inside doesn't make sense. So value fine, and this is looking good. And this is a dictionary, and of course object for key I'm getting from it, and looks fine. If it doesn't break, we'll be fine. Yeah, got it. Okay. First one, we got a subject and this kind of class, and NS dictionary or NS string. Check for a key. We have got it. Okay, the second part is not coming. Window. dictionary. Okay. I'll try to see what is this exactly coming. It's looking good. It's kind of clowns. Doesn't take this as a NS dictionary for some reason. I really don't know. Maybe what we can do, so this one I'm going to move it over here. Let us see if that comes. For some reason why it did not pick up, I really don't have an idea. It's not taking it. Okay, it doesn't work. We'll come back it. But obvious reason is the inner element of this particular dictionary is another NS dictionary, but it couldn't identify for some reason. But at least it identified the string type. So we'll come back to it. But anyway, whenever you encounter a scenario where the object type you are not sure about it, you can give an ID. So that's the concept here. So this particular object, the dictionary, when I supply the key, the retrieving object may be a string or NS dictionary or NS array, it could be anything. So in this case, when you are not sure about this particular returning object or property, you can make it as an ID type and then differentiate whether it is a string or dictionary and iterate it what all required. Why it is not iterating, I will have to identify maybe a string in sub key, sub dictionary, looking fine for me. Object for a key. Did the same mistake again. Now I should get. Yeah, got it. That was a mistake. So this particular value, it's actually being retrieved over here itself. So this point of time would be an NS dictionary. So iterating that sub dictionary, I'm iterating the other values as well. So the math, and the second subject one is English, subject two is math. So all those things I could retrieve. So I can give a generic pointer to a property when I am not sure about the returning type. That is called ID. You would be seeing this ID maybe in actions or event listener quite often. So ID is used would be generic pointer. So what kind of a object it is, if you are not sure about it, that time you can give an ID. Okay, anyway, that took a time unnecessarily. Okay, at this point, my delegate, I'm not sure about what kind of object it is. That's the reason I have given an ID, and I defined it just initialized, just mentioned in my interface as a property. In the same class, I have a protocol written as a subclass or something like that, because it is there inside. So if you are trying to add another classes inside the existing class, make sure you put the @ class and then define the respective classes. In this case, it's a protocol. A protocol have been defined with the incomplete function. Okay. Now, in the implementation, synthesize it, your delegate, and go ahead and maybe a couple of functions also we can have it. Say instance method I am adding, start timer, just a function, no arguments. Okay. Another function to complete it. There is a NS timer. You can add any number of delay if you want. So NS timer, schedule a timer with time interval maybe 10 seconds, and target same class self selector. Okay, this is also a block method. Mean when the timer is completed, which function you would like to call. That can be called like this, timer complete, which I have already written, timer complete. You should have a selector @. So tell the target function when the timer completes after 10 seconds, it will call this timer complete function. And this I'm going to keep it nil. Repeat, I really don't want to repeat it at this point. So when this function is going to be called, it is going to create a delay. After 10 seconds, it is going to call this particular selector, I mean nothing but a function, timer complete, and it will come here and execute. So at this point, I'm going to call my delegate. What's the function we have written? On complete timer. Okay. When a timer started, it is going to call after 10 seconds one particular function inside. When that completes, it is going to inform this delegate, hey, your timer is completed. So this is a kind of a class what you have written. It has a protocol class, and this protocol class has one particular incomplete function. Yes, we have put in place, and that the same class contains two functions. One is start timer and the end timer or timer complete, and also the delegate also initialized as an object or property. And we have at this point, yes, timer has been called, and once it completes, it's going to call the delegate. What is the use of this? Now I'm going to use this one in my First thing I have to my delay process header I have to implement. Then you can have your protocol, the delegate, added. If you want, you have the method body required. This my delegate is an abstract or protocol. So what is the use? The moment I have the my delegate, by this time this guy should be complaining, hey, there is a method on complete timer is not implemented. So you have to implement somewhere. We already have a process, like, to tell. Some name. Now you can implement that function. Put ns log. Okay, a delegate method or a protocol has been added, and since I have added here, that incomplete function should find a place to get implemented. Yes, it has got implemented. Now I'm going to use that particular property, non-atomic retain, as a simple property. So this property can be synthesized. Can synthesize, can be initialized. So let me initialize maybe I'll do it here. My delay process start timer. I can start the timer of that particular class, and I also tell my delay process the delegate I have to initialize just before starting it. I can define my delay process, my delegate self. The delegate has been implemented in this class. Okay, dot notation. So that particular delegate, this delegate has been implemented in this class. When the timer started, the timer will execute. After 10 seconds, you will get a callback at this point. Because the delegate has been pointed here, the delegate has been implemented in this class. So it will go and process the timer. When the timer is completed, it is going to call this particular function. So let me see. I should wait till 10 seconds. Maybe I'll reduce the timer. So we set it to repeatable. Every 1 second we'll call it. At least we'll come to know whether this thing is working or not. Again did the mistake. I'll keep it 2 seconds and going to keep the repeatable timer, let it be, or The very big mistake what I did, I didn't initialize this class. An object cannot be used or a property cannot be used until it is initialized. So I haven't initialized, but cleverly added the synthesize or setter getter added, but the class has to be initialized first. Then the delegates could be set, the timer could be started. Let me do it. I think the timer completed has printed. Did I keep a repeatable set to yes? Yeah, that's the reason. See, every 2 seconds, this one we keep printing. So this delegate keep listening to a timer even though the class goes out for some time and process the timer and again informs the delegate. So this particular delegate has been implemented in this class, this view controller, as an interface, and when the delegate, whenever it receives the message, it informs into this view controller through this way. So you can create as many as delegates, or you may create various delegate methods in a protocol and define them wherever you process certain requests, which is going to take some time. Once you complete the time and inform it back. So for that, what you can do, you can have certain methods and have a protocol defined, keep incomplete method structure, and when one of your methods or function is going to call that particular delegate, wherever this delegate is implemented, will naturally will receive the message. So in this example, it is receiving the particular message every 2 seconds. So this timer takes the control outside of another class, processes it, and informs it back. I'm going to use the similar scenario for my web service example, where I'm going to make the web service request and going to any other view controller. Anytime the web service is going to receive the result, it is going to give me a callback to this particular delegate function, and I'm going to process the request till the time I can put a loader or whatever it is. So that's an idea. So this kind of a delegate method, we are going to use it quite forward. Already we are using table view controller has a delegate, and UI picker view has a delegate. I mean, whenever it receives the information about the click events or whatever happens, it notifies me. So this kind of a delayed or asynchronous scenario is required. You can make use of protocol functions or protocol classes and use as many as delegates as you want. For example, the protocol made the entire sequence into highly asynchronous. So anytime the result comes, it just responds. So if you really want to make a asynchronous block, you can very well make use of this kind of a delegates in place. So we are going to use a lot of example going ahead. So this is a simple example of how to have the delegates in place. If I have a time in afternoon, I'll again do a simple revisit on the UI picker, and also NS user default, one more small recap, then this one delegate with the web service. So we will try to see how we can put into place. So this kind of scenario, we are going to use it quite often. That's the reason I just gave it as a simple example as a delegate. Wherever we have find a asynchronous requirement, we are going to use this kind of a delegate methods quite often. Okay, I'll upload the code. Afternoon.